name is Gareth Owen. I'm the Humanitarian Director for Save the Children UK, based in London. I look into the 21st century issues, like we all do, around climate change, around huge numbers of people migrating, the largest numbers of refugees since the Second World War, huge insecurity. Those issues are global. They're getting difficult. The receding of international solidarity that seems to have happened in this era, all of that, I hope the pandemic has shown is in need of grand collaboration to sort of reverse some of the worst effects of that. Humanitarians have always been about solidarity with all of humanity and resisting the worst effects of a highly unfair, let's face it, Western dominated still capital system, which is rejected in many parts of the world. So we've got to get to a place where we are less about doing well for ourselves and back to the sort of philosophical activism of doing good for humanity. And that will demand grand alliances. So I would love to see in the UK, for example, where we're holding the pen on COP26, a grand alliance develop, a grand collaboration be put in place quickly over the next few months, maybe launched at COP26, an alliance for humanity, an alliance for humanitarian action against climate change. And it would be an all-court game involving the best of civil society, with the best of government, with the best of military, with the best of academia, with the best of the private sector, and with big philanthropists, and would need 100 million quid put on the table to start something that would be big enough and bold enough and audacious enough to really set an example as global Britain towards the rest of the world. And then we would have to collaborate across the globe. Unless we can think in those terms and think in those terms quickly, I'm afraid we are losing the race here. So that's the kind of grand collaboration I think is possible. There are examples where we've achieved this, there are many. And I think it's time that we put together a really grand collaborative partnership for all of our sakes and really tackle climate change. Whilst I like big rhetoric and grand ideas, they've got to be practical. We've got to put it into very practical action very quickly. So if I was thinking of an alliance for humanity for climate change, I would want a leading university like Manchester, where they have a tremendous expertise. I would want to be calling on a big partner in the private sector, maybe even something audacious like an extractive industry, maybe British Petroleum or one of the others, or a big pharma agency or Unilever, or big agencies where they have a relationship with the whole of the world and the whole of civil society. I'd be calling on the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, to say, I'm going to announce at COP26 a grand endeavour champion from the UK, because we have such a proud history in the humanitarian space and it's good for global Britain. I would want the head of the army involved, and I would want really great organisations like Impact involved who can help with the brokering of all that, so that we put together something really quite amazing. And then we leverage everybody's money. We need money for this. We need to move from rhetoric to action, and that takes resource. I hope there are big philanthropic investors out there who would want to match all that with their own resource and bring together, I'm talking hundreds of millions of pounds. I mean, I'm the Bob Geldof generation of Live Aid, the audacity of that moment, which brought loads of us into the humanitarian world. We need to match the audacity of that kind of moment in the face of what we now know is an existential challenge. And I think holding the pen on COP26, the Irish government holding the pen at the UN on climate, let's go for it, folks, it's time. There's a moral legacy question for everybody who has agency today, which is, how are you going to look back? Greta Thunberg asked us all the question, what are you going to tell your grandkids? I think that question is, from a child-focused organization, the greatest question of our time. And I think that's really on the minds of many leaders. It's not that big a leap from there to say to all those leaders in those different walks of life, let's come together, folks. Let's really mean it now. Let's be able to look our grandkids in the eye and say, we used our power and our agency, and we tackled this great challenge. So I think anyone coming into that space needs to know that's what this is about. If there's a win-win along the way for everybody in terms of helping, we all live in the real world of agencies and business and all the rest of it. So find the win-wins in all that, whether it's a political win to show leadership on the global stage, whether it's a win for a business in terms of developing a green economy, whether it's a win for the military in showcasing just how much expertise we have in the world in the name of peace, actually, which most soldiers I know really prefer to war fighting, and whether it's in a, in academia to bring to the great knowledge and critical reflection that all needs, and whether it's in civil society organizations to have the humility to say, we are a small cog in all this. We may have a strong ethical core and a strong supporter base, but we're only a small cog and we need to create a big wheel for this.